Hello, Earth signs. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo are your sun, moon, or rising signs, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Earth signs, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. We start with an 8 of Wands. I feel like there's a lot of energy in the room right now. You know, there's a lot of almost anxiety. It feels like we're kind of, we got the jazz hands a little bit. We're anxious for something. I don't know if we're waiting for something or if we're trying to figure out like what I need to do, which way to move, what should I focus on. I think that this card is kind of saying like we're having a difficult time focusing on the one thing we want to do right now. There may be too many distractions. There may be too many things in life that are pretty exciting, that seem appealing, you know. When our attention is split in, you know, kind of involuntarily to all these other things. Let's say we're sitting down, we're trying to do our work, you know, we're trying to do our homework with the pen and paper, the old school way, right? And let's say we have so many distractions around us, where there's a window to outside, there's a TV on, we have our phone with us, there are other people talking, there's other things going on, other people are doing stuff. Our attention is going to be split into many directions. It's going to be very hard for us to focus on what we're doing, okay? Because your mind is just naturally going to want to go here and here and here and here, okay? And that's why sometimes on this channel we talk about we got to put the blinders on. We have to focus, we have to zero in on what we're doing. We have to eliminate the distractions of our attention. See, the Wands cards, the fire cards are all about our attention, okay? It's not something that we necessarily are always in control of. Sometimes we let go of, you know, our attention, we let go of the control of our attention and we just take in whatever's around us. Sometimes we try to focus on one task, but there's a lot of other things going on, and it's human nature. We're going to be drawn to those other things. So maybe this card is saying like, the work you're doing right now is trying to minimize your distractions, at least at certain points of the day, right? When you really have to focus on your tasks, when there's something very, you know, very important that you want to do, environment matters, okay? And it could be right now that we're having a difficult time not even focusing on one particular task, but not even knowing which task to focus on. Okay. Now, this card is too many things happening at once that we're not sure which one to select as being our main focus, right? So we need to put this card into a little bit of context and see where some of our attention is going, right? Or what we need to do in order to sort of direct this energy in a particular way. We want to aim it toward the rainbow, right? We want to aim it toward what is going to be meaningful and what we feel is going to lead us to the best outcome. When there are so many things in your life to choose from, we gotta, you know, we have to find a way to select something and to follow that path. So let's see what else we have. A 9 of Pentacles. We have the Sun card. We have a Princess of Wands. That makes perfect sense. And a Princess of Swords. Yeah, the Princess is very much kind of impulsive, not as fixed on anything as maybe the Prince cards are of the tarot, right? Are kind of, it's almost like a bee that just kind of goes to every flower a little bit, goes back and visits some of the old flowers again and just kind of goes to everything and touches it once. That's kind of what the princesses are like, and so that really fits in with our 8 of Wands here. But then we have an Ace of Swords. We're consciously choosing, okay, to eliminate distractions so that we can receive that divine download from Spirit, from your holy guardian angel, from your spirit guides, or wherever that comes from, the universal energy, from outer space, right? So we can receive the signal so that we can focus on which path is going to give us the most bang for our buck, the most return on our investment. See, we're not going to get a Nine of Pentacles if our energy is split into, let's say, 8 different directions. Okay? 8 different directions. Path of the Serpent, we find another ace. Great. An Ace of Pentacles. Very good. We see a 7 of Cups in the environment. We're seeing all these other things for what they are, really just kind of swampy, nasty distractions, illusions, right? And so if we're looking at the environment that way, then it's like I don't even have an interest in looking at those other things. I'm focused on my aces. I'm focused on what I really need to do right now. Maybe this is the idea of a life's mission, a life path. We're choosing a particular great work for ourselves, and everything else seems like it's radioactive. I don't want to touch it. Yeah. There we have a Knight of Wands, which is also rather impulsive, like a Princess of Wands, but a little different style here, which we'll talk about. And then we have the Two of Pentacles. So we're continuing to make progress, kind of one day at a time progress on this path that we are very much going to, we're going to put the blinders on. Okay. And we've got these aces. I think that's very good. Let's select a mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it down over here. I don't want to use Alien Simon Mork Ripley. Why don't we use, let's use our little octopus friend, the Eight of Tentacles, for all you Earth sign people. All right. Now, we're not going to look at that card until the end. It will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card may be, put your prediction down in the comment section below the video. Okay. Now, as we look around the room, the only really major arcana we see is that sun. And that's the inner illumination. Okay? And that is us really understanding that our divine light is shining out from us. It's going through the prism. See, there's this prism in this card. I don't know if you could see it. Going through the prism of the Eight of Wands, and that light is being refracted into the rainbow. Okay? Our spiritual light shines out through everything we do in life. And so that kind of gives us this feeling that it doesn't really matter what I do. Everything that I do is going to be infused with my essence. Okay? And that, yes, and I believe that wholeheartedly. At the same time, sometimes this card is saying we need to, instead of letting the light shine through us like a prism where it's just scattered into all the colors of the rainbow, we need to kind of direct that light as if our soul, our aura, is a magnifying glass rather than a prism. You know, a magnifying glass, I don't know if you were a kid. Oh, I'm sure you were a kid at some point. We all were, I think. But you used to have a magnifying glass and you used to angle it toward the sun, and then it would shine a very hot beam of light down on the concrete, and sometimes you would, see if you can burn a hole through a leaf or a piece of paper or something like that. We did some dangerous things like that as kids, right? Showing my age here a little bit. But that's the idea of the sun and the refracted light of the Eight of Wands. That light is going to give us some very pretty colors, but it's not going to burn that hole in that paper. It's not going to concentrate in that one thing and really make an impact on that one thing. So what this card in essence is saying is that we don't need to have a purpose in life. We don't need to focus our light on one particular thing if we don't want to. Because everything we do is going to be colored with our divine light. Everything we touch is going to have our essence and our flavor to it, right? Our light is shining through our personality, and we can do a lot of different things. It's the difference between, kind of a liberal arts major and having a very specialized focus in your life. Okay? You can be the jack of all trades and the master of none, or you can focus on being the master of one. Okay, and I think that applies not only to our overall life path. What do I want to do in life? I don't know. I want to do everything. I want to do a little bit of everything or a lot of everything in life. I want my light to be refracted into the world as a rainbow. I want to shine in many different colors, you know, and do many different things and leave my mark in a lot of different ways. Some of us want to kind of specialize and focus on the one thing and really make a deep impact in that one area. And I think that it's, as an overall life philosophy, these cards fit, okay? But what about on the day-to-day? What about like what we're going to do today? I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of everything today? Or am I going to really put the blinders on, focus, right? Focus my solar light and really make a deep impact into that one thing. It's like, I'm going to clean the house today. I'll just kind of go around and wipe stuff down, fine. Or I'm going to tackle that closet. That's going to be my laser beam of focus, okay? Now you have some kind of lavender plants near the doorway, right? Or some, I think they're, I don't know, purpley kind of stuff, long, by the door of your house, yeah, or your apartment. Anyway, and so I think that regardless of what our general life philosophy is, I think on the day-to-day, according to your energy, you're trying to find the focus. You're trying to narrow it down and say, I need to get rid of all the distractions. Today's the day for cleaning out that closet. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try to dabble in everything like the princesses will, right? What I'm trying to do is make a deep, I want to see some progress in one thing, okay? So you have, let's say you're taking a full load of college courses. You got taken 7 classes or whatever it is, 20-something credits, yeah? And you have, okay, today's the day. What am I going to do? Today's a Saturday. What am I going to do? I'll do a little bit from every course. I'll do a little bit in every 7 classes I'm taking. Yeah. Or, wait a minute. I barely have time to put my name on the paper in all 7 of those classes in the day, you know? So we kind of get rid of most of them. We say, what am I going to focus on today? Today is going to be that math homework, right? It's the worst one. Save it for a Saturday, I guess. But that is sort of eliminating everything else, and we're harnessing that light, and we're focusing that light, and we're choosing what to put our attention on. And in order to do that, we have to minimize distractions. You got to close the curtains. You got to turn on a spotlight, a desk lamp or something that's just going to illuminate what's here, not what's out there. That's why in my studio, I have a lot of lights that are shining on the table. I guess on me too, but on the table. This is the focus. The rest of my studio is black. I have black soundproofing up. I'm trying to make it as black as possible. I want it to be an abyss out there, right? Because I don't want to be distracted by anything else. The cards are what pulls my attention in, okay? And what is, of course, stimulated through the cards in my unconscious and through my aura and through spirit, okay? So anyway, that's the sun card to break it down in a nutshell. We've got fire, fire, fire. We got a little bit of water here, not much water. We've got air and air. We've got earth and earth and earth. Okay. So the earth cards, we're really trying to, really what it is fire and earth. 1, 2, 3, fire. 1, 2, 3, earth. Anytime we have corresponding numbers like that, we have 3 of a particular suit of cards. So we've got the 3 fire and the 3 earth. To me, that's a sync. That's a synchronicity, okay? Because that's fire and earth. That's a spiritual electrical circuit of manifestation. That is your art and science of manifestation. That's your magic, okay? That is the initiation of behavior. That is the impulse, and that's the actual, like, moving the material world around, trying to affect physical change. So what you're trying to do is harness your attention, that fire, and you're trying to shine that light on the earth in some place and make a deeper impact. So today, I want to bust out that math homework. I'm going to get that closet cleaned out, which means I'm not going to really be touching anything else. I might take breaks here and there to go do whatever. Maybe I work by the Pomodoro method or something, but that's the focus. And by the end of the day, 9 of Pentacles, I want to see some progress. I want to see that I've gotten something done, you know? So that's kind of the magic here. Fire and earth. We even have it here represented in the individual cards right here in the middle of the spread. So we've got those aspects. And that's really that's the obstacle for you right now in your life. This is position 2 of the spread. It's the battlefield. And this is where our quest is. You're being told to harness your lasers, and point them at something together. Channel them into one beam of light. Rather than letting them just scatter, refracted light, forming the rainbow, yeah. Rainbows are really pretty, Rather than that, let's get the magnifying glass as our lens. And let's focus that light and make a deeper impact on something in your life right now. Okay? Fire and earth. So that's the quest for you. Make some progress in this thing. Whether it's something at your house, at your work, at school, if it's your personal life, if it's your physical fitness, if it's your financial life. Maybe this is about debt, Maybe this is saying, I want to see some progress. So what am I going to do every month? I'll pay a little bit of money on every credit card, sure. Okay, maybe that's good. Pay the minimums on everything, right? Pretty good advice. But pick one that you're going to just focus on, laser beam focus, to make some progress on that one, to knock out a big chunk, to make a deeper impact on that particular bill or credit card or house repair or whatever it is. Okay? Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to completely neglect the rest. Don't do that. I'm no financial advisor, but, seems like pretty common sense advice. Just pay the minimums at least, right? But then find the big one that you can put the most effort into and really take a chunk out of it. And if this is physical fitness too, you're saying, you know what, I really need to focus on my cardiovascular. I'm going to just hit that treadmill or that recumbent bike hard every day, and I'm going to make some progress. Really big. It doesn't mean you're going to neglect the rest of your physical fitness. Doesn't mean you're not going to drink water, or you're not going to eat, or you're not going to try to lift some weights, or whatever, right? But those are going to be minimal. Because all of your energy, your directed attention, is going to go to that cardiovascular stuff, or to those bills, or that house repair, or whatever the thing is. The project at work, the art piece that you're trying to complete, the thing that you need to clean or fix, right? And so it's directed attention. Or what we have right now is that Eight of Wands that's saying, I don't know what to do. I'm going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And sometimes this Eight of Wands is me just trying to pick a book to read. I'll go through 100 ideas. I'll check Reddit, I'll look on the internet, I'll look on that Goodreads app and stuff. I'll try to find, what book do I want to read? I'll check my own book list. I have a reading list of about 1,000 books. And I'll say, what do I want to read tonight? And I'll maybe pick one, read a couple of pages, and then I'll say, no, not this one. Maybe a different one. I'll flip through, read a couple pages, but I like it. I'm like, but what about this other book over there? Oh, yeah, that other book. I kind of want to read that one too. And so we're just kind of touching all these different things very lightly. And that's fine. I think that's an okay way to go about it. That's kind of our previous energy behind us, the Princess of Wands back here, right? Because this is the card, this is the energy that touches all these little books and just says, yeah, well, maybe, no, maybe not. Maybe I'll read something else today and tomorrow, and I'll go through all these different things, never really taking a big chunk out of any of them. Now, maybe when it comes to reading books, that's the better way to do it. Maybe I don't have the time to devote to one book and read it all the way through. Maybe I just want to read a couple of chapters here, a couple of chapters here, a couple of chapters here, and that's fine. I just want to dabble kind of a liberal arts thing. I want to liberally give my energy to all these other things so I can kind of have a more well-rounded acquaintance with things. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think right now your energy is saying, your spirit is saying, the cards seem to be saying, focus on the one thing and make some progress in that one thing. Make an impact. You can still read other books, right? But have a main book that you're really going to try to knock out and make some progress in that book. Okay? It's kind of like you really got to focus on your math class. The other classes, yeah, you need to focus on them too. But maybe math is the one that's the most difficult. Maybe this is about choosing the thing that is not like what's going to be more exciting to me, and I'll jump from this to this to this to this, but what is going to be the most challenging? What's the hardest thing for me to do? What's the work, what's the book, the subject that I find very difficult to focus on and to get through? Maybe that's where I need to kind of put more of my effort, okay? Now, you listen to a lot of music. I feel like flutes, like Mozart or something, like some kind of classical flute music or something, yeah? Maybe that's a way for you to drown out some of the distractions and focus on something. We need to find these tricks for ourselves, okay? And I think that's part of our Princess of Swords at the top. This is a card that's very curious about things, though. This is the card, like the Princess of Wands, that just wants to explore everything. And the Princess of Swords is curious about everything. I want to know everything about everything. The Princess of Wands only wants to engage with what's exciting. And when it's not exciting anymore, they quit. They do something else, okay? And so between the two of these, it's like we have no shortage of ideas about what we could do and then we pick what's exciting to us. And so these two cards, when they get together, this is like those best friends that are just like, uh-oh, this is going to be a wild night, right? Because they will never run out of so-called good ideas of what to do and what exciting things to get into. And very often, you know, going to probably call their parents for a ride home later, you know. So in our particular energy, this combination is saying that we always will find something more exciting or more fun or more interesting to do. So it doesn't matter what we're focusing on. There's that part of our soul that will say, this thing over here is more exciting. These two cards are very distractible. A little flashing light over here, and they're like, hey, what's that? You know, it's like you're trying to do your math homework in the middle of a casino. I don't recommend it. I don't go to casinos because I can't handle that stimulation, okay? But maybe you can. Maybe that helps you concentrate. Maybe you find that you're more focused when there's a lot of noise around you, okay? I mean, it could be you have to find what works for you. But these two cards are that part of us that are very distractible. But what we're doing here, especially with our 7 of Cups in the environment here, is we're noticing all those things around us that are just distractions. They may seem like they're interesting and fun and exciting, but they're toxic. They're not the fun things to do. They're not worth your time. The 7 of Cups, not worth your time. It's a trap. It's a snare. It's waiting to grab you and pull you down and laugh. Ha 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 ha, I've gotcha. Okay? The Sun card is that clarity. This is inside of you. This is your spirit, okay? Your true self. And I think that you have goals, you have a recognition, and you have a clarity that says, if I can make some progress here, wherever here is, whatever, at work, school, at home, doesn't matter. If I can make some progress, I'll really feel a lot of joy. And it's kind of like this is the recognition of that supreme joy. This is the recognition and the acknowledgement that I have the power to direct my consciousness. And I know myself well enough to know whether I either need a lot of noise around me to keep me focused, or I need to go in a cave. I need to go total hermit mode and really just kind of hunker down and turn out the lights and just flashlight on my homework and to get it done. I need to turn off the phone, lock the door, put in earplugs, whatever, right? We know ourselves well enough to understand how we can direct our energies, or at the very least, some things that may help, okay? And we have to understand kind of who we are and how that's going to, how different practices might help us or hinder us in this effort, okay? Now, this could be something, like I said, something financial, something physical fitness, physical exercise. It could be, you know, your meditation even, okay? But it's physical actions, trying to make some recognizable progress. That's the 9 of Pentacles. 9 of Pentacles is the visible sign of progress in whatever you're doing. Could be something completely mental. It could be a physical exercise or finances. It could be like your meditation or your spiritual practice. But this is a progress that you can acknowledge, that you can see. Okay? Is verifiable progress. You can see the number in the bank or something, you know, going in the right direction. And the thing about this card is that it represents work on the physical, financial, mental, emotional, and spiritual creative planes. 3, 3, 3. That's the 9, right? And so what it's saying is that part of the trick here Because you know how we don't know what to focus on. We think, if I focus on this or this or this, like I'm missing out on this other stuff, and this energy, this princess energy that I have just wants to do what's interesting and what's exciting. And so we kind of feel that if I choose one thing and I laser focus on it, that I'm neglecting everything else, or I'm missing out on everything else, if we want to phrase it that way. But what this card reminds us is that any progress we make in any dimension of life affects the other dimensions. Okay? For instance, if you focus all of your attention on your math homework and you make some real progress in your math, right? You're actually making progress in all your other subjects too. And maybe not directly, okay? But everything is interconnected. It's kind of like because of the skills we're learning, doing that, it's helping every other area of life. Physical, financial is going to help your mental, emotional state and your spiritual, creative energy. If this is a creative project, it's going to help your mental, emotional state. Everything meets in the middle with the mental, emotional dimension, right? But it's also going to affect your physical and financial life. Okay? Because it just, bare minimum, it's going to give you the skills that you need that will translate to any dimension of your life. Okay? So all the 9 cards are just extraordinary, complex energies, but they're just so wonderful. The Ace of Swords in the future, the next step. This is the Imago, position 6 in the Dove and Serpent spread. Represents the next step for you, the way forward, what you're being told to do. Laser focus, right? Calm, get the tip of the sword outside of the distractions of the mind and penetrate into outer space where you can receive that divine energy, that cosmic signal. Okay? This is the pineal gland that when we that receives the frequencies when we have calmed down the mind, we've quieted the mind, and we've reached a more like theta wave state or something. We're able to receive that divine signal. Okay, this is that antenna of our pineal gland that is going to capture. It's going to sort of lock in on that divine frequency. And this is we're kind of locking in on our work, whatever that happens to be for you. But in this card kind of shows the method that we have to somehow lower the volume on the noise. The noise is all of the kind of fractal, yellow, jagged energy of the mind right there, right? Represents all the air and all the confusion, all the noise in our minds, right? But the tip of the sword has pierced beyond the atmosphere and is receiving that signal from outer space, okay? And that is us learning to quiet down the noise of the mind. However, maybe that means physically you got to turn the noise up. I know some people, they do their best work when they're blasting heavy metal music into their headphones. I don't recommend it. You're gonna hurt your ears, right? It's not for me. It used to be back in the day, actually. But it depends on what kind of energy we're looking for. How do we tune into that frequency? Well, I think music is a great way to do it. If you're looking for kind of calm brain waves and, gentle focus, you might do some classical music. But if you want a surge of energy, if we're doing something physical, like we're at the gym or trying to laser focus on our curls or something, right? You may put on some heavier, louder, faster music. It's all about context. It's all about what works for you. Sometimes you might want all the flashing lights and the mechanical noises of the casino floor, or you might want the just sort of very calm, hushed whisper of the poker room upstairs, Anyway, it sort of depends on you, but how do we tap into the frequency that we need? How do we tap into that divine frequency? It's kind of like you're trying to tap into the spiritual frequency. You might need to sit and meditate. You might have to meditate in silence. You might have to have chanting or Tibetan bells or wind chimes or something to help you tune in. I think the auditory stuff really helps in that way, But a lot of the fire energy is all about the visual system. Okay? So how do we use the visual system to tap into the frequency that we need? The frequency is what's going to help us to make that progress. So think about your visual world. How do you set up your visual world? Or wherever you choose to sit down and do your work, What is in your visual field? Like for me, I have to have the lights anyway, because it's a television. I was going to call it a television show. Old school I am. But beyond the lights, I want dark black. I don't want a lot of shiny things. I don't want a lot of wires, and I don't want to see anything else beyond this, right? This is what I want to look at. Because everything that I have set up here, everything here is intentional. These aren't just silly knickknacks that I've collected because I'm, disorganized. These are things that really matter to me and that inspire something in me or help me to tune into the energy. And this is how we need to create our own visual field. Now, of course, in the audio field, I like silence. I like quiet. I have my room soundproofed. I can't hear the garbage truck outside or the rain. I can't hear, the people that are walking through the house and things like that. My family, my wife and child are up there, probably now making breakfast. But I like to have that quiet energy, okay? So that's our Ace of Swords. Now, on the path of the Serpent, let's talk about these cards. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. The readings are free, really supports the channel, and I really appreciate this community and what we're building here. It really blows me away what we're doing on this channel and how involved all of you are, and the feedback that I get and all the comments that I get. I love reading the comments. That's my favorite part of this, is going through all the comments, Sorry about all the spam stuff in the comments, though. That's terrible. Anyway, general energy, the Ace of Pentacles. This is you actually sitting down and doing the work. This is you getting to it. This is you trying to affect some sort of change in the physical matter of your life, the physical universe, in the 3D world, okay? What are you doing in the 3D world? Maybe this is a 4D, 5D kind of effort for you. But I feel like we're trying to make some progress in the physical 3D world. And that's what we're doing. Now we're sitting down and we're focusing. We've set up our visual field and our audio field, and we're sitting down and we're doing the work. We're starting to move our body in the way that's going to make progress. Either we got the pen, we're doing the math problems, we've engaged our body and brain, and let's say thinking mind. Our thoughts, right? We've engaged our body and our thoughts, focused in, laser focus. We've locked into the frequency, and we're doing the work. Okay? And I think you're going to make extraordinary progress. The very next thing for you is the distraction of the Seven of Cups. Okay? All the sevens are things that may feel very appealing. This is something that may, the distractions that appear in your environment. See, this is the card of the shadow. This is the card in the environment. There are things in the environment that are trying to bring out your worst qualities. But you have the light of the sun. These two positions of the dove and serpent spread are intimately connected, as are these two. But here we have the light of the sun shining on your environment. You're looking at your environment, and you're starting to recognize those things that are trying to tempt you into that snare, into that quicksand, into the mud. Right? Something it used to, the Seven of Cups, sometimes will masquerade as something very attractive. Come over here. This is the shiny slot machine that you want to put your coins into or whatever, right? This is where you want to be. This is what you want to do. And we're recognizing it as a pretty nasty looking thing. No, I don't want that. I don't want to do that. I'm focused on this work right here. So it's like we'll be focused on here, and then we'll hear the TV saying, come watch this wonderful show, or whatever. And we'll say, no, I don't. Either I have to eliminate these, but how do we eliminate them? How do we know what to eliminate? Well, first we have to recognize them for the distractions or the illusions or the temptations or the seductions that they are. Something that's appealing to your emotions, kind of like saying, don't you want some ice cream? Don't you want to feel good? Don't you want to just take a break and go sit down and take a nap or something? That's why when you meditate, you're not really, they tell you, don't make it too comfortable for yourself. Don't do it with a really soft mattress and a pillow, because you'll probably fall asleep. When I meditate, I use a cushion, sure, but I sit crisscross applesauce. I sit spine erect, crown raised to the ceiling. I try to sit as straight as I can. I don't just kind of slump. I don't relax. I don't ease into it. And I don't rest my head on my hand like this, because I know myself. It's going to get too comfortable, and I'm just going to end up, I'll just stretch out for a minute, We recognize those traps, those illusions, right? And since you have the light of the sun, you can see them for what they are. So you're looking at your environment, you're looking at the world, and even at some of your relationships with things, and you're recognizing them as the kind of the attention drains that they are. And even if they're masquerading as very lovely things, you're seeing beyond that surface level, and you're thinking, yeah, it might feel good, it might be fun for a minute to do this, but it doesn't go beyond that. It might, at surface level, yeah, be fun. Oh, I'd love to lie down for 10 minutes. Maybe to turn into an hour or two. But I know that's not going to lead to any kind of progress. I'm not going to feel better. It's not actually doing anything for me long term. It's just a short term indulgence. That's what this card is. Indulgence and perhaps overindulgence. And so the way that right now you're looking at your environment is you're seeing all these things that you do not want to indulge in because you're locked in. You've tapped into the frequency and you've locked your mind and your body into what you're doing. And you're gonna make some intense progress now, okay? Now, the Knight of Wands in the position of the obstacle. This is sort of impulsive like the Princess of Wands. But the thing about the Princess of Wands is that it will impulsively jump into one thing, then it will impulsively jump out of it and into something else. So the Princess of Wands is always going into something new, into it. Oh, then when I'm here, I got to go into something new, into something new, into something new. And it's sort of, it's bouncing around like that. The Knight of Wands is also very impulsive and will leap into something. The Knights are all about the beginnings, right? How something starts, the energy that's there at the beginning, the enthusiasm that's there at the beginning. But this is an energy that also is looking at the future. So it's kind of like the princess doesn't look past their own nose, doesn't look any further than 3 feet in front of them, okay, the princess. And so just says, oh, this will be fun, does it, and says, oh, look, that'll be fun, jumps over there, oh, look, that'll be fun, goes over there. The Knight of Wands knows what they're getting into, says, oh yeah, okay, I'm motivated to do this thing, but I know that eventually the motivation is going to wear off, and I have to force myself to stick with it. Because see, the Knight is looking at the 10 of Wands and everything in between. I know the Ace, the 2, and the 3 of Wands, because that's the beginning of something. That's the enthusiasm. That's when there's still all this potential, and I'm jazzed up, and I'm ready, and I'm motivated. I have a lot of enthusiasm. But then I get to the 4, 5, and 6. And it's like, now it's just like repetition, struggle, through to the victory. Okay, you get to that 6. Then you have to also think of 7, 8, 9. Okay, then there has to be a sustained progress. There has to be, beyond that sort of peak experience. It's just now it's kind of like just sheer willpower that's pushing us through, okay, to the whatever the goal is, okay, whatever the ending is here. Whatever the result is that we're looking for. So the Knight, yes, has that impulsive energy at the beginning, feels very jazzed up, very excited, very enthusiastic, but does not leap into something else when something shiny comes along in your peripheral vision and you say, oh, let me go over there. Okay? And so we have to kind of lock in, we have to jump into something and go all in and keep ourselves there, to see ourselves through the process. And I think that's really what we've got with the 2 here, because we have the Aces, so it's easy to begin something, but the 2 of Pentacles is saying we also have to take the next step, And the next step then is kind of like saying, okay, I know that eventually this enthusiasm is going to wear off, but I have to keep going. So when I start reading that book, I say, oh, this is a great book. I get a couple pages into it. I'm like, that book over there, that would be fun. No, this is the book I've chosen. Okay? And I'm going to read it until I give myself a goal. I say, I'm going to read at least 4 chapters of this tonight, and then tomorrow we'll see, Or say I'm going to read it for a week, and then I'll see. Or I'm going to finish the book, and then I can switch. So it's not permanent. It's not saying I have to do math homework and nothing else for the rest of my life. No, it's saying for today, I'm going to do the math homework. Or for this weekend, closet. Yeah, I still have to cook food and like clean the toilet and stuff, but closet. Hopefully not at the same time, but closet, okay? The Two of Pentacles is that harmonious change. The Two of Pentacles, I think, is kind of like as we start to notice the visible progress we're making, we can use that to help us stay motivated. I want to look at the mystery card. I want this to be some kind of happiness. I want it to be some water energy because we don't have much. The water energy we do have is like this disgust feeling. Like I'm not going to let myself get distracted by all those things now that have been draining my energy for so long. As I'm sitting here, I'm trying to do my math homework, and yet I'm getting distracted by social media. The TV is on. I'm having a hunger. My mind is starting to wander. And it's like all those things are trying to pull you off of your task. I want to see a reward here for you. I want to see like the Wheel of Fortune. I want to see a 9 or a 10 of Pentacles again, or a 9 or a 10 of Cups. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Let's see what we have. Nope. We got the 10 of Wands. It's, like I said, from the Knight of Wands to the 10 of Wands. We know what it's going to take. We know that this is going to be effort. We know that, I can't just do it for a couple minutes until I feel like, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm going to go do something else. We know that we have to stick with it to our chosen goal. Now, that's the thing. You have to decide, when are you allowing yourself to say, okay, I'm done with this? Is it saying, I got to finish all the assignments for this week's math class? Or are you saying, I want to get the closet all cleaned out today? I want to at least get everything taken out of the closet. That's my goal. Okay? Or is it like, I want to read this book all the way through till the end before I say, mission accomplished. Okay? Because that's kind of the 10. It's kind of like we know that we're going to push our energy out and we have to be reasonable with ourselves. It's a Saturday. I'm not going to be able to do all the math homework. Let's say I want to get like half the assignments done. Okay, that's my goal. We got to know what our limit is. We try to push ourselves past our limit, and it's going to be very, very difficult for us to stay focused past a certain point. Past the 10. Even really once we get to the 10 of Wands, that's kind of the issue. Because like I said, the Knight is looking at the Ace through the 10. Ace 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's about as far as we can go, the 9. When we get to the 10 of Wands, that's when we're burning out. That's when my attention just isn't going to work. No matter how much I try to force myself to look at the math problems, everything is distracting me. I have no hope of focusing. We don't want to get to this point. We've got to know kind of where our limit is. Okay, and we have to be very honest about that, because we say, I'm bored, I'm going to go do something else. No. How long can we really, truly focus on something? Maybe it's the idea we got to take breaks. We got to allow ourselves some other distractions once in a while so that we can push this out as much as possible. See, there's a huge gap between the 9 and the 10. The 9 can go on forever until you get to the 10. Well, that's up to you. And these little tricks, taking breaks, the Pomodoro method, minimizing the potential distractions, getting up and standing, doing some stretches every hour, something like that, right? Which is why I do that. In between tarot readings, I get up, I walk around, I get another cup of tea, I do some stretches, some breathing, I look out the window, then I come back and do another reading. Because we're trying to extend our energy out so that we can focus for a longer duration so I can make more progress. You have to know where your limit is and try to do everything you can to stave off the exhaustion or the burnout. Because when we get to the 10 of Wands, we're hopeless. We can't pay attention to anything. It's like you might as well just go to sleep. Okay? Very interesting cards here. We're going to do an extended reading as well if you want to stick around. We'll do an I Ching hexagram. We'll do some oracle cards. There is a link in the corner. There's a link down below. New readings for your earth signs. Check the schedule for when your main readings come out. This is our bonus weekend, earth sign reading, okay? So be sure to watch your other readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you are watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we are all in this together.